You're listening to Stellar Success, Leveling Up for Medical Pros with Dr. Tudor Francu. Join us as we explore how medical professionals can achieve stellar success in all areas of life. It's time to level up.
Hi, everyone. Back at Stellar Success. Stephanie, how are you?
I'm doing well, doctor, and yourself.
Very good, thank you. Um, why dental practice and why working with a bunch of doctors?
Great question. So dental kind of fell on me. I had worked with medical doctors in sleep disorders for a few years and was getting a little burned out. And I was also curious about a lot of the devices that I was getting prior authorization for. So long story short, I had a good friend that worked in the dental industry, and she's like, well, come on over here. Learn a new industry. You won't regret it. And I did. And I prefer to work with doctors because I think that, especially in the dental field, they don't have a great support system. Doctors in dental, unfortunately, have high suicide rates, have high failure rates. They crash and burn, and they also aren't equipped with a lot of business acumen. They go to school, they learn all the things, and then they're kind of set to themselves or set out to the wolves, if you will, to kind of figure it out on their own. And it becomes a really big, it can be a really big success or a really big failure. So having the ability to usher them into my world and guide them towards their dreams and their career goals really appealed to me.
So let's go back a little bit and kind of tell us a little bit about your journey. How did you start in this thing? What made you choose this path? And, what are you doing now?
Absolutely. So I started dental about a decade ago, a little over a decade ago, just looking, like I said, for something a little bit different than the medical world, getting a little bit burned out. And at the time, it was saturated. The industry was just saturated with professionals, and there wasn't a lot of advancement. Once I got into the dental world, there's kind of a Y-shaped path. You go into private practice, or you go kind of into corporate or DSO owned business structure. At the time, I worked for a private practice that was soon acquired by a DSO, a corporation. And long story short, really, I started seeing changes being made at that corporate level and asking some questions, just saying, hey, has anybody up top ever been here in the field? Have they ever worn the shoes of the dentist or the front desk admin or even the assistant? Because some of these changes just don't make sense. At the time, I was really blessed to have an amazing regional manager who encouraged me, hey, you're on the right path. The things that you're thinking and the conversations you're having are really something that we need in the industry. Unfortunately, Stephanie, in order to beat them, you got to join them. So you got to climb up that ladder. You got to learn. And I did. Over the course of that decade, I went from just the front desk girl all the way up to the regional manager. And then where I'm at now, I did leave the corporate end. I got presented with an offer to be a COO for a privately owned multi-unit, and that's what I'm doing now. And I'm loving it, loving every minute of it.
Very nice. Quite an exponential path of
Yeah.
success, I would say. Um, but it's interesting to know actually, how did you manage your mindset during these transitions? Because I think
Yeah.
it's a wonderful path for someone to listen to, right? I've
Mhm.
started, low, and now look where I am now. But all the long way, changes happen in your mindset, and I want to know what happened to you, because it's to be able to go this fast, that much, something is different.
Yeah. So I would like to say that I have a really exciting secret formula. I don't. One of the things
You
that
don't?
I don't have a secret formula. What I did is I started really reading as many business books as possible, because in that corporate structure, what's great about them is you get a master class in reactionary leadership. And while that's great, you don't always get the other half of that, which is what happens when things are going right. How do you get people to move in such a way that they're inspired to continue moving? And that's kind of when I started developing this mindset called leading with love. What leading with love is it's finding a way to retain people and build teams that ultimately propel you forward because of their success, not by offering them raises, not by offering them a red carpet of benefit, but just really dialing into what's important to them and honestly just embracing and loving them. I think a lot about the Charlie Brown Christmas tree. When you watch that Peanuts episode, that tree looks absolutely pathetic. And then towards the end, when they take all the decorations off of Snoopy's little dog house and they dress it up, I think it's Linus that says it wasn't such a bad little tree after all. All it needed was a little love. I've done that with each practice that I have been graced with. And every single time I inject kind of that formula, not only does the practice grow, the providers grow, everything kind of perpetuates forward. It has elevated me as well. And because I have a little bit of a bigger mindset towards love, towards kindness, which can be some pretty fluffy things in the business world, people kind of, turn their heads and say, huh, I never thought that maybe, I could pull these levers without having to necessarily have dollars attached to that. So really strong core values, really strong support system. I'm very blessed to have several coaches that have helped me. But just really staying dedicated to what I know to be right. When things didn't feel right, I spoke up. And when things ultimately were successful, we took note of that. And we wrote that down so we could replicate that onward.
Very interesting. You mentioned coaches.
Mm-hmm.
How important was mentorship for you?
Oh, huge, huge. To be very honest, when I started getting into that senior leadership level, there were many days that I had a lot of imposter syndrome and really struggled to believe that I could do it because I didn't have a lot of the formal teaching or the schooling. A lot of it was learned very much on the job and very much in the element. It was really, my coaches fulfilled a role for me that was not only basic support and skill learning, but they came alongside me and they were very honest and said, you're not going to do this overnight. You're not going to get here in 2 seconds with it being very easy. Coaching was so important. And I was lucky to have a few friends in the industry, a few people that recognized what I was supposed to be doing and where I wanted to go, come right alongside me and just say, hey, let me, tweak a few things. Let me show you what can happen. And just having that open mentality and that spirit of coaching, staying curious is really, my claim to fame for that. But I would not be anywhere without my coaches for sure.
Yes, I totally agree with that. And I think most people don't understand that leadership is a learned skill. And it's learned from someone who perfected this skill over many, many years. You need to read books. You need to stay around people that did this successfully. You just gotta not, wake up overnight and be a good leader. I mean,
Right.
don't forget, people leave jobs because of people, not because of jobs. So the
Correct.
leader is very important in a practice, especially in a professional environment with educated and high net worth individuals that understand that a leader need to be very well trained to be in that position. What can you tell us about working with doctors? Because I cannot imagine doing that. It's a hard job. It's a very hard job.
It's my favorite job, though. It really, truly is.
How do you manage like trying to at least let's start with this, trying to get them all together first.
Mm-hmm. So, I want to be after clarifying question. You mean getting them together, like united, understand, aligned, basically?
Right, exactly.
Well, that's a tough thing. You're never going to get a bunch of doctors, dentists, or whatever in a room to all agree on the same thing. And that's that understanding and thinking that you're going to do that right is number one paramount. You're not going to do that. What you need to do is you need to inspire your doctor and you need to figure out how each individual doctor works, what makes them tick, what's important to them. So when I meet a doctor, I'm looking to establish a relationship because ultimately I have that doctor understand that your success and my success are going to go hand in hand. I want to go up, you want to go up, you want to learn new things, I want to learn new things. We can do this together. I think what really backfires in a lot of corporate areas and even in private practice too, when you don't have structure, is assuming that the doctor wants to do something or telling a doctor that they're going to do something. Every single doctor has their own unique personality and quirk, and it's really on the leader to establish that connection. Establish and make that personal connection so that when you do ask and you do need them to move in a certain direction, they understand the why. They understand that they can say no, that is always an option. You can never tell a clinician how to be a clinician. That's number one. You can't roll in and say, hey, doctor, this is how you should do this, especially if you're not wearing a white coat in return, because that's just going to fall flat. A doctor is looking for somebody that they can lean on too, and they're often very skeptical because they have been on their own their entire time. So it all comes down to personal relationship. In the instance right now, I have 3 wonderful doctors in one building, and they're very different. I had to move them to an aligned mindset behind some production goals. And the way to do that was not to talk about the production at all. It was to ask them, hey, here's where we need to go. How do you want to get there? And then me as an operative, I then tailor that around that particular doctor. So yes, a little bit tedious sometimes, but that's the joy in learning that doctor. And I'll tell you what, there's nothing better than when you have that first connection with a provider. Recently, I had a situation where one of my tougher providers, she's a little bit newer to me. She just wasn't sure who I was quite yet, and we didn't get that opportunity to connect. She had an instance with the patient where she really just needed somebody to back up what she was saying clinically, and the patient needed to hear another voice. I didn't do anything special. I'll be very honest with you. I sat on that call with her, and in a lot of instances, I just kind of agreed with her and let the patient know, yeah, your doctor is the best of the best. She wants the best for you. After that, we have had a bond that is just completely unbreakable. She's come to me with ideas. She's come to me with different things that she wants to go forth, and it's all because of connection. So,
Yeah, it's interesting. You create this trust between a clinician, a doctor, and a position like yourself that, most people think, in general, the clinicians think that the admin side of the practice, it has somehow different goals. And
absolutely.
and most of the time they're the same goals. It's just a different approach. And I agree with you. I think, leaving the clinical part to the doctor is the right path to choose.
Absolutely. And
But
you're absolutely right, doctor, as far as, you can't, you're not going to be able to get a doctor's trust any other way.
yeah,
And you have to understand that doctor is a person. That doctor is a person first and foremost.
right. Um, I want to ask you, in all this journey you had and successes, I'm sure there was something that didn't work very well. Maybe a setback, a failure in some sort. Do you have an example
Absolutely.
of something like this?
I do. I'm going to be really vulnerable with you. So, after a good decade with the corporate side of things, I was working in a region that just would not. It had really good grit. I was building a really good team, but the corporate turnaround time and my ability to do that, we were just not meeting. We were kind of fighting a losing battle with just turnaround and staff and doctors, and ultimately, yeah, I'm going to be honest with you. My corporate job, they did let me go, and that's really my biggest skyrocket. Was I took all of that instead of looking at that situation and saying, hey, I crashed, I bombed out. All my coaches were like, listen, they're a company, they got to do the right thing. You did a great thing. You led them, to this far. They got to go the next step. It's time for your next chapter too, because you're outgrowing this. There's only so much you can do here. I actually utilized social media to turn it into a win. I was very honest. I had built up a great friend circle and a great team of people around me socially. And when that happened, I put out there with a post and just said, you know what? Sometimes life throws you a curveball. Um, this is how I'm going to choose to react to that. I've
Yeah.
learned so many great things. Let's go on to my next chapter. When I was very vulnerable and put that out to the internet, I'm going to tell you, doctor, I had inboxes to this day that I still can't control because people were like, oh my gosh, I can't believe you put out there that you were fired. I can't believe you put out there that, after all of these years and being a face for this company for forever, you were ultimately terminated. And I said, well, why not? Be honest about your journey.
Yeah.
And that's what really attracted my current doctor to me. He's like, that's COO, that's C-suite material. He's like, that's what I need. He goes, you've got all the right pieces. He goes, let's give you the right chance this time.
Yeah, that's amazing. Yeah,
Yeah.
to be vulnerable that way and show people that, you're still a human. You are who you are, and you can do much better than other people think of you. What did they say? Every kick in the butt is a step forwards, right?
You got it. You got
Yeah.
it.
It's funny because I went through the same thing in my professional career. I got fired once from a group for financial reasons.
Sure.
And not clinical. And I used that opportunity to, propel my career in a whole different other path and, to be where I am right now. But it's interesting how social media and people react to a setback or a failure like that in a positive way, and help you out and refer you to different other companies and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Now, going from that to where you are right now, I'm sure there are some habits or routines in your personal life
Mhm.
to make you who you are and how you react to things. What are those?
Well, I'm very faith-based. And you're right, I do have a routine. So one of the things, because I'm more faith-based, because I do follow the Christian faith and I'm not scared to share that, I start my morning every day by relinquishing the day. I do not pretend to have control over what's going to happen in that day, but I do ask for guidance in what I'm going to say. Because I subscribe to that higher power. I let God know every morning, hey, this is your day. This You take me, you use me as an instrument for how you want this company to run, or how you want this call to go, or how you want this, forum to develop. I'm just the tool. Point me in the right direction and help keep my heart focused on leading with love, on what people need. Show me where they're hungry. I also have, my CEO taught me this amazing, amazing phrase. He practices the entire office practices breathing by Brene Brown, which it's old, but it's old but a goodie. And one of the things that breathing teaches us is to stay curious. And so instead of taking on conflict, where when I was younger in my career, I really felt a lot of that. It was very much, this is my fault, I've done something wrong. I stayed curious and asked myself, okay, how do we get back to good, or how do we fix this? Why did this happen? Allowing myself a little bit more grace to learn and inviting myself in every day to learn is great. I also practice a little bit of neuro-linguistic programming. So there's a lot of science and research around framing the mind, doing some bubbling exercises. So yeah, my day starts with the morning coffee and a little bit of prayer, a little bit of just surrender. And then we open the email from there. Also, really great thing too, I also block my schedule every week with CE and learning. I block it for at least an hour to 2 a week so that I have time to decompress and learn something new and keep me fresh. If you fall into similar routines, especially myself, I love a good routine, but if you don't shake it up every once in a while, you are not continuing to grow and you cannot serve people the best. So that helps me feel like I'm always checking off a box, so to speak, and progressing myself.
Yeah, you can't be good for others if you're not good to you, right?
Yeah,
You need to kind of get yourself together first and then offer that to others as an example.
well said.
Um,
Yes.
what's coming this year? What's new? What are you excited about? What are your
Yeah.
plans?
So really exciting. Our company is expanding fast. We are looking at either owning or building a pretty large structure. We're looking to build out, taking dentistry to the next level and making a total wellness center. So right now we are going through blueprints. We're looking at properties. We're looking, how do we build this out? While my CEO is taking much of that, I'm building the team behind the scenes. So we're starting to hire, we're starting to build that team that's really going to take us into the next level. Additionally, we're very excited about 3D printing technology. We got ourselves a 3D printer, which for our patients allows us to cut down wait time. You can, in essence, leave with a new smile in a day, which is not traditional in many dental offices. So that's what I'm really excited about. My CEO is also taking some sedation courses. So we're going to be marrying some of my medical and dental together to kind of shake hands and provide a one-stop shop for every single maxillofacial need that you can think of. Really excited about that, and just adding some new blood to the team, expanding as always. And then something that I've been keeping in my back pocket that I'm working on is something, it's called a Dent Gala, much like the Met Gala. We want to have an event that just has a bunch of vendors that we work with, as well as our staff, and really taking that time to showcase their development, what they have done, and doing so in an awards like ceremony. So
Interesting.
yeah, pretty excited about that. Looking into 2026, we're more acquisitions. So we're looking at a couple more buildings, a couple more practices that we're going to be expanding to, and just continuing to grow upwards and onwards.
Very nice. Um, what do you think you want to go to in the next level
Ooh,
for yourself personally?
that's a great question. So I've been asked that question a few times by people just saying, hey, okay, so you're in the C-suite, where do you go from here? Selfishly, I've been working on a book for a horribly long amount of time. I would like to see that into fruition. It is a book based on leading with love. It's all my best kept secrets, tips, and tricks. I would like to bring that into the forefront and just give that a little bit more life. Additionally, with that, I would like to provide a website that just gives for free, no monetary piece at all, just ways and resources for leadership outside of those traditional areas. Something that suggests, hey, this is how you love your staff, because I recognize that leading with love may not come naturally to people. The concept of loving your staff may also sound a little funny, especially. So I'd like to spread that message, get that maybe not just in the dental community, but out into some others, because the world needs, not to sound cliche, the world needs a little bit more love. So I'd love to see that. I'm also working on some speaking events, working with the coach right now just to polish me up a little bit more so that I can go to some of these dental conferences, possibly even some business conferences, and just kind of teach my tips and tricks there too.
Yeah, that's awesome. You should definitely do that. And you can use this podcast as a ramp to propulse you to that stage.
Perfect.
Now, Stephanie, if you think about all your wisdom that you got so far in your journey, and you would look back to yourself when you started this, what kind of advice would you give to yourself?
Hmm. Give yourself a little bit more grace and understand that you're not supposed to know it all on day one. I'm very hard on myself as a leader, and when I don't have the instant answer or the instant fix for something, I take that sometimes as a shortcoming in my past. Now I'm a little bit better with that. That I recognize that more as an opportunity. So I would tell my past self it's going to be okay. I read a really good book, John Gordon. It's a little hokey, but The Energy Bus, and he says something really important in there. And he just says that you're not supposed to figure it all out. The journey and the opportunity is every single day. And if you figured it out, there is nowhere to go. Where do you prefer to be? Always be learning, always stay curious, always perpetuate forward. So it's a great little read for anyone that needs a quick mindset change, but it's been an impactful book in my life. And yeah, I don't think I can say it much better than that.
I know it's a great way to end this, and I really appreciate you coming over and kind of share your journey a little bit, and your mindset and your wisdom of doing this. Because I think it's important for medical professionals to have a perspective from your side of how people do this in your position. It's not an easy job. It's not an easy job to handle a practice and a bunch of doctors, and you need strong skills. You need strong personality, and you need continued learning desire, like you said.
Mm-hmm.
And thank you very much for doing this. I wish you much success, and maybe we'll circle back at some point to see where you are.
Well, it'd be my pleasure. I thank you so much for being so gracious with this platform. It's really exciting. Thank you.
Are you a busy medical professional striving to excel in life and work? Stellar Success Podcast brings you the habits and insights of top leaders in medicine and beyond. Discover strategies for balance, growth, and fulfillment in every episode. Follow us on Instagram at Stellar Success Podcast for daily inspiration. Start your journey to success today. Subscribe to the YouTube channel now.
That's a wrap on Stellar Success, Leveling Up for Medical Pros with Dr. Tudor Francu. Interested in joining us? Go to stellarsuccesspodcast.com/guest to apply. Stay stellar and level up.